AskReddit. What are some subtle signs that a company is going downhill? When the best managers start quitting, especially the ones that have been there long term. Also, when they get ridiculously stingy, like refusing to replace pens and paperclip. One of the more subtle clues I've discovered is when a business starts posting new job offers at lower wages than before. I worked at a very large company that had quite a bit of turnover due to the seasonal nature of the job, would expand significantly in the summer, shrink around winter, so having rounds of hires and layoffs wasn't that unusual. I was fortunate enough to be in the minority of employees kept year round, but one summer, an eagle-eyed coworker noticed that the job was being posted for much less hourly wage than the year previous. He bailed immediately. I wasn't planning on bailing myself, didn't think too much about it, and instead planned to stick around and see how it goes. But my coworker put in a really good word for me at his new place, a place that was 30 minutes closer and paid more, so I eventually followed. He had the right idea. After that summer, the department closed completely, leaving dozens of my former coworkers in limbo. I was glad I got out early when the industry was in a summer hiring trend. You go to a restaurant or bar for good products and good service. If the place starts to cut back on one or God forbid both of these, it will lead to a downward spiral in the business. Source: General Manager of a bar/restaurant. My experience is that everything becomes about cost. Late from lunch? That's extra cost. Spend longer than expected fixing something? That's extra cost. In an old job, where I was eventually shown the door due to company financial failures, I was actually banned from going on customer site visits for a month because it was deemed by the boss that I was spending far too much time out of the office at customer sites and my mileage bill was too high. My job title? Field Engineer. Hospitality here. When either or all of these happen. 1. Understaffed, not just normal understaffing that you find in most places, but where there is literally 1 or 2 people covering way more than seems normal. 2. Start replacing ingredients in their drinks/meals. Trying to squeeze more margin usually leads to a lower quality product. 3. Lots of deals. When there is 2, 4, 1 or 50% of on multiple days of the week. 1 and 2 are the biggest red flags. A lot of places in my experience have done both of these, and it's always a bad move. You go to a restaurant or bar for good products and good service. If the place starts to cut back on one or God forbid both of these, it will lead to a downward spiral in the business. Source: General Manager of a bar/restaurant. When they start charging for something that used to be a benefit that drew you to their company. Fuck you, a sus, for now charging me shipping to fix under warranty devices. I have stopped recommending your brand and will likely switch my school's next batch of 1:1 to a competitor. Here's a stock rule. When the CFO leaves, shit is about to go down. He knows everything. Legally he can leave whenever he wants. Pandering to a small but vocal group of people who don't even purchase their products while alienating their main customer base. Been seeing this a lot lately, and the trend isn't slowing down. Tech company, Salesforce is introduced. Over my career it's 4/4 a sign that there's a buyout coming. Also, a large focus on industry standard metrics means you're being compared to other companies. When there is more than 1 or 2 people leave the finance department in the same month, it means something bad is on its way. They have insight into everything and are the first ones to react to bad financial information. When you don't know if your paycheck will bounce or not. My old coworkers had this happen. They worked for the largest structural steel fab shop on the East Coast. After the son of the founder took over, he ran it to the ground. Once people got their checks on payday, everyone would leave work and cash the checks. If they deposited them into their bank account, they would bounce because the company couldn't afford to pay everyone. It got to the point where the vice president was paying people out of his own retirement account until they close. When they can't or won't pay you. Seems like an obvious one, but they had excuses for each time. My husband worked for 2 companies like this, and he bailed quick. Several managers that come and go all too often. Your store might be in the red zone. No more free soda, or a drastically reduced selection of soda/snacks. Was sad watching our mini Costco become only regular Coke and regular Doritos. Company website is not updated, including copyright message from a number of years ago. Social media not updated in years. Speaking for my competitors. A slow but steady reduction in fringe benefits with no appreciable explanation for the sudden need to penny pinch. I used to work support for a local startup. When I got hired on, they would cater lunch every Friday. There was always a loaded fruit basket in the break room and free soda/water in the fridge. Over the course of 18 months it was reduced to one lunch a month, then none. Then reductions on the frequency of restocking the beverages, then no restocking, then the fruit bowl went from a mix of various fruits to just red apples, then none. Then the first round of layoffs. Then the reductions of hours, then the second round of layoffs. Then the restructuring, then they filed chapter 11 and terminated their entire support team. Now compare that to another place I worked that had very similar benefits. One day it was announced that we were going through an acquisition process, and as part of that certain financial obligations had to be made, so budgetary restrictions were put in place and the fringe benefits were reduced accordingly. Over the next 6 months or so most of them returned. Some that weren't really being used as much were rolled into other benefits, where they would see more use. My Manorama 12180 portable air conditioner arrived with only 2 sheets of bubble wrap draped over the top, minus the window adapter. When a company can't even be bothered to make sure all the necessary parts are included in a major purchase, it's a bad sign. When a company is too cheap to even fill a carton with foam peanuts, it's a bad sign. When a company has no complaint line or customer service line to call for problems, it's a bad sign. When all three are in play, it's clear Amana/Whirlpool don't care if they are following in the footsteps of Sears, Mart, etc. When people leave, they don't hire a replacement. That can be at any level. They just try to make do, knowing that they're circling the drain anyways. When they replace the electric kettle in the kitchen with a giant kettle that takes forever to boil. I've known this take down to companies. Pens. We had nice gel pens. Downgraded to nice biros. Then cheap biros. Then provide your own pens. Then provide your own paper. Went under very quickly after that. Temporary fixes become permanent features. If something breaks and still haven't been fully repaired or replaced within 2 months, it's a sign that the economy is not healthy. If purchasing stops for consumables or quality suddenly deteriorates, not the stuff that goes into the product itself, but basically anything to do with maintaining quality or safety. No rubber gloves appearing for 2 weeks, or the cheapest single-ply toilet paper in the restrooms. Suddenly you're using a new and worse detergent, stuff like that. You know you're circling the drain when they start making cuts that directly affects the end product. Brand goods being replaced by generic attempts to shave a bit of expenses by swapping out the quality stuff with fillers. If you notice long timers starting to disappear by now, it's a sign that you too should start sending out your resume. Next, you suddenly run out of stock. Stuff get delayed. You suddenly find out that suppliers aren't showing up because bills have gone unpaid. By now, it's just a matter of time before your paycheck will bounce one day. Bankruptcy is months away at best because the only customers left are the long timers who haven't found a better option. One that is a guaranteed sign is when nobody is willing to buy your commercial paper. Sure sign that the company is seconds from bankruptcy. Things are suddenly brought up to code and some paint is dashed here and there. No overtime allowed or had to be approved. Travel bans, which exec team ignore. Cutting advertising. Pay freeze, no bonus, cutting key positions, all longer term projects cancelled to focus on immediate priorities. When employees start leaving in droves, particularly if they've been there for a long time or are in management. Bonus if they are taking a pay cut by doing this. If the company starts cracking down on things that they never gave a damn about before. i.e. overtime, how many times you go to the bathroom, etc. If newly hired employees are training even more newly hired employees. If the company starts hiring an outside company to do certain things that should be the company's responsibility, i.e. hiring. I saw all of those happen at my old company. The bolded one is the situation that pushed me too far and got me to quit. My mom always said she could tell when an airline was going out of business just by watching the stewardesses. The nicer ones, where everyone in the plane is having a great time. Those airlines treat them well and they feel secure in their jobs. But when you start to notice that every stewardess is mean and snippy and they all seem to have woken up on the wrong side of the bed, it means the airline is in trouble. There are many. Abrupt reduction in days or hours the business is open. Change in the quantity/quality of goods being ordered. Change in yearly adjusted cost of living or raises. First item on the list. Company I was working for changed from a 7-day open for business schedule down to 5 days out of the blue. Satellite stores started getting closed soon after. Second item. Company had overextended itself on its line of credit as it had overestimated demand. Now it is stuck with goods it can't sell and bills it can't pay. To cover this, they buy cheaper goods to try to generate revenue, but it is a sunk cost fallacy situation. Third, company is renowned for treating its workers well. All year they tell you how they are landing larger accounts, and they are. Historically, after reviews were completed, a cost of living and a raise was given out to all employees like clockwork, and without fail for over a decade. Not that year. All employees only got a cost of living adjustment, no raises. Turns out the company was sold. Layoffs occurred soon after. I just recently quit my job at a private college with a very small student body whose main regional competitor was the local community college system. Enrollment had already been declining for several years, but when the state in question passed a bill making tuition at the community college free, I knew that was the beginning of the end for the place. This only just happened, but honestly I'll be surprised if that college is still open in a few years. I was working for a very large known company and I remember getting an email about ways to save money for the company. The email was sent out to all employees, so we were coming up with ideas. At the end there was a huge layoffs and restructuring to refocus the budget. I was being relocated, but I decided to take the layoff notice and get the severance package. My old manager is holding on to my job hoping I would be back. When your telco company who used to offer cell service and broadband at a discount to staff in order that the staff advertise the product to friends, suddenly remove those discounts. When the company is spread across 6 locations in the state, but travel between those locations is severely curtailed. Payments being late ever, especially for employees, and especially for taxes. If one of those things isn't getting paid on time, the company is probably close to insolvency. The people at Donut Time probably should have realized what was happening the moment their pay didn't go through the first time. Lack of advertising. Often if a company is doing poorly it's a good reason to start advertising. In this case, if they can't even afford that, it's another warning sign. Not hiring new or enough staff, and not paying raises or bonuses, and additionally treating staff a little worse. When money is tight, business owners care a bit less about their employees than usual. Key staff leaving is also a warning sign, especially if they left unexpectedly. Any cost saving measures that go beyond what people would consider efficient or normal are also some warning signs. Not spending money to expand or to fix things that need fixing. Those rundown businesses with holes in the walls and dirty windows that have been there for months or more are often not doing too well. Perhaps if the leadership are public as well, if they are having public breakdowns or exhibiting erratic behavior, that can often be a telltale sign that something is wrong with their companies. Likewise, if your owners or leaders are usually in the office, but have been out of office regularly and haven't given a clear indication why, that could be a sign that they are meeting with financiers/creditors/insolvency practitioners/lawyers. Then of course if you have access to financial information, their liquidity ratios and their creditor relationships are big hints.